For 3 years, I was forcibly taken advantage of by a sugar daddy who suddenly went bankrupt. Justin left me some money and calmly prepared to commit suicide. Facing me, he said, "Please don't mock me, and you can leave." But no, I shook my head. Now it was my turn to take advantage. The news of Justin's bankruptcy spread quickly. It must be true because his rivals had already started eyeing me. The most direct way to crush a man is to take away his woman. I cursed angrily at the man on the phone who was making lewd comments to me. Ignoring his rage on the other end, I hung up the phone directly and then blocked that number. A light laugh came from behind me, sounding a bit weary but genuine. Justin walked over from the entrance, wrapped his arms around me, and sat on the couch with me, leaning heavily against me. "I never knew you had a temper, thought you were just a kitten, turned out to be a tiger," Justin smirked. "Too bad I found out too late, no chance in the future. A big shot like you, penniless now, still able to laugh." The air felt heavier. "Card, where is it?" he suddenly asked. "In my bag," I said. "I put 2 million in there for you, Cherry, as you wished, you're free now." Justin said this with half of his face hidden in the dim light, his expression unclear. I did feel like I needed freedom all along, but it seemed like I never really thought about leaving him from the start. It was quite nice to stay by his side, lots of money, living comfortably, and a handsome man. Just a bit too controlling, always restraining me. It hurts, and I'm not without temper, I thought for a moment, feeling too embarrassed to be rude again, so I asked, "Is it really bankrupt?" He turned his head away. "Yeah." As soon as he answered, he quickly followed up, "Please don't mock me, and you can leave." Veins popped on his exposed forearm, like a battle between the human heart and desire. "And now that you gave me the money, what are you planning to do?" Silence lingered for a long time as a response. I threw the dagger I found in the bathroom, planning to commit suicide. "Cherry," Justin's voice deepened, "please, let's not talk about it." He urged again, "You've always wanted freedom, right? You can go. I won't force you anymore, I don't have the capital for that." Lazy as ever, I didn't rush to answer him. I couldn't quite remember how embarrassing it was when I first met Justin. I only remembered being so poor that I was about to sell myself to pay off debts, and Justin brought me home with a black card. Before that, I had heard of him, a refined scoundrel, a beast in elegant clothing. All those unpleasant words. I had thought of escaping, but I was always caught. He implanted a tracker in my tooth and installed cameras in my room. I could only use his customized phone and computer. He controlled everything about me, including but not limited to the taste of my toothpaste. My resistance was like a tickle to him, but every time I resisted, there would be punishment. Sometimes tied to a piano, sometimes strapped to a horse. All his favorite poses and positions. Steve was forbidden from interacting with any strangers of the opposite or same sex. If he caught them once, that person would disappear forever from my life. I was once very afraid of him. So up to now, our relationship was not so pure, and my fondness for him also contained a hint of fear. But emotions between people are the most uncontrollable. Thinking of this. No, I shook my head. Now it was my turn to take advantage. "Are you ready?" Justin hesitated a lot. "How come?" He seemed unable to say that word. "Take advantage of me?" I thought for a moment. Oops, impulsive. With your help in recent years, I've saved some money, then invested in a lot of real estate, selling some off, plus the bags and diamonds you bought for me, should be enough to pay off some of your debt. He was slightly moved. Then he frowned again. "You, being a victim of being taken advantage of, know your assets so well," he thought for a moment, "ready to run at any time?" The atmosphere suddenly turned cold with his tone. I instinctively moved back. He immediately stood up, placing his hands on both sides of the couch behind me, encircling me in a way that was impossible to refuse, thinking about running away but never thought about it. My attention was all on him. But then he changed his tone. "Consider it done, Cherry, you can go now, before I change my mind." For the first time in 3 years, I rolled my eyes at him, pointing at the monitoring footage on the visible doorbell. "Do you have time to regret?" A bunch of creditors are right outside." As the words fell, Justin glanced at the screen and then pressed me against the door. I had never experienced such a thing while being harassed for debts. "Justin," I growled softly. The commotion inside seemed to disturb the people outside. Through a door, I was forced to watch those people with eyes like knives on the monitor. The instigator crawled on top of me, speaking with his mouth close to my ear. "You can scream louder later, let them hear, then charge in and kill me." Ignoring my protests, Justin pressed my hands behind my back. I hated this the most. I tried to break free while he was undoing his belt. He muttered nonchalantly, "I owe a lot of money, so much that they'll dismember me from the inside out and sell me off in parts." After what seemed like an eternity, he finally loosened his grip on my wrist. I angrily threw his belt on the floor cushion, one hand on my waist, the other poking his nose disapprovingly. "Don't forget who's the one taking advantage now. You can only act according to my wishes." "What do you want from me then?" Justin's face had long returned to normal. First, I thought for a moment, no suicide. I threw a new card down, taking on a high posture. "It's opened in my name. There's my savings from these years. Should be around 4 to 5 billion." In his surprised gaze, I took out several property deeds and a pile of boxes filled with precious gemstones and jade, accompanied by a stack of appraisal certificates. These, when cashed in, would easily reach 6 figures. With hands on hips, I relished the right to show off stripped from him, all these to pay off debts, at least qualifying to stay alive. Justin scanned everything, asking me what to do. His tone irritated me a bit. My generous and magnificent rescue effort sounded more like a way to control him. But it was fine. Because the feeling of throwing money at someone was just too satisfying. I would take out the tracking device from my tooth. I observed his expression. "Then I'll plant it on your body." Justin lifted his gaze, meeting mine. A simple gesture that made me break out in a cold sweat, the hidden corners of my body becoming more sensitive to unforeseen consequences due to prolonged unpredictable punishment. I remembered his actions on me. "From now on, your every move will be under my control. You must report whenever leaving the house. All your electronic devices must share passwords with me, will share the same account, and no members of the opposite sex around you. Oh, and I added carefully, I don't like mint toothpaste, remember to switch to lemon." Justin's gaze remained on me. After a while, he spoke slowly. "You seem to enjoy being domineering." "So?" His tone was unclear, no emotion detected. "Will you punish me the way I punished you?" "Dream on." Over the next few days, following my twisted thoughts, I applied those tormenting methods one by one on Justin. Including that tracking device. Now, that cute little thing was firmly wedged between the third tooth from the top in Justin's upper row. Every evening, I made him go commando and then wear an apron to cook for me. Because he actually didn't know how to cook. And I liked watching men cook. Everybody has their quirks. Initially, he even made me wear a skin suit to give him private lessons. Since he agreed to be taken over by me, he lost the autonomy to use his electronic devices. His phone, tablet, even his computer, all logged into my account. I could monitor his every move in real time. As for his personal freedom, I didn't need to control it. The whole world was looking to collect debts from him. He couldn't even step outside. Late at night, after being semi-confined at home for several days, Justin sat on a chair eating. I lounged on the couch, remarking, "That chair under you looks nice." I had a brilliant idea. Justin subconsciously reached to feel the chair's firmness and angle. "It's not comfortable, it's too hard, you'd be uncomfortable." "With you underneath, why would I be uncomfortable?" I raised an eyebrow. Setting down his utensils, Justin swallowed the last bite slowly. "Well, I also want to see how you put effort into dancing for me on top of it." What a bizarre thing to say. Another late night, Justin sat busy at the computer desk. Leaning against the door frame, after what seemed like a while, he answered a phone call. "Now's the time." I quickly slid under the desk. Thanks to Justin, this office chair had 2 locked front legs. Engrossed in an argument with the caller, Justin unwittingly found both legs secretly locked by me. When he tried to resist, he couldn't move a muscle. The caller on the other end kept on, getting more and more aggressive. Justin, under my assault, gradually lost his focus. Following the unfastened clothes, I kissed my way up and then laid the chair flat. Justin quieted down, leaving only the sound of the caller cursing him on the phone in the room. Miming, I said, "Don't you enjoy being disturbed while being demanded payment? Keep going." Justin's face went from red to pale, gritting his teeth and falling silent. I didn't stop, swaying the sleek and serious all-black office chair back and forth, alongside occasional curses. Just as it reached its peak swing, I suddenly stopped, then helped him adjust the still-connected phone. "Sorry, did I interrupt you?" With bewilderment in his eyes, Justin watched as I walked out of the room. I was quite satisfied with this nonchalant day. But not long after, debt collectors came knocking again. All that money didn't fill the hole. Justin pinched the edge of his apron, snowballs, just rolling and rolling. "Why didn't you say so earlier? Justin, I saw you in such high spirits, I wanted you to be happy a little longer." The debt collectors camped outside the door for a full 3 days. Once we'd depleted all the household supplies, Justin and I were desperate. "Cherry, is there a more aggrieved man in the world than me? Justin, I've never been such a tormented sugar daddy before. Just wait." I patted Justin's head like petting a dog, then, under his suddenly dark expression, I called the police. After giving the address, I shamefully told the police, "There's someone messing around in illicit relationships here, please send help." In less than 20 minutes, amidst a police siren, the debt collectors outside scattered. Justin stood with his hands on his hips, thoroughly disdainful yet also greatly admiring, as he let out a cold laugh towards me. I didn't back down. At least I've regained the freedom to eat. Facing the police, I told them everything truthfully. Then, together with Justin, we joyfully spent 3 days in custody. Upon release, I immediately took Justin to my old little house. Inside, things were still arranged just like before, everything neat and inviting. Justin, amidst my nostalgic reminiscence, muttered the first words of the day. "Shut up. Is it your turn to talk now?" I tapped him and said, "All the properties under my name are yours to settle the debt, and the money is gone. This house was left by my grandmother. Having a place to stay is already good enough." Justin fell silent for a few seconds. "I remember your grandmother was very ill. Cancer queen, pancreatic cancer." I packed up as I spoke. "If you hadn't been willing to give me money, my grandmother would have suffered a lot. I couldn't help you with anything." I became serious. Patients with pancreatic cancer suffer terribly in the end. I didn't have money to help my grandmother get treatment. I couldn't even afford pain relief medication for her, let alone a proper meal for her to eat. "Cherry." Justin tried to distract me. "Money can solve a lot of problems, like making it easier for my grandma." Justin said, "Is this the reason why you are taking care of me now? Is it because my money helped your grandma?" He stared at me. "Is it because I have some money that you are taking care of me?" I stared back at him at this messy moment. It didn't seem quite appropriate to say that I took you in because I kind of like you, can't bear to see you getting messed up by the creditors, and don't want to see you fall too hard from your high horse. Since you're bankrupt now, just stick with me and we'll be together from now on. With all those cheesy words. I hesitated for a moment, then decided to show some sugar daddy attitude, kind of, but I also want to taste what it's like to bully you. Now is a good opportunity, isn't it? He fell silent again. Bankruptcy makes people negative, and negativity leads to silence. I understood. I turned to start ordering takeout. Just as I finished ordering, I looked up to see someone's face rapidly zooming in. And then he kissed me. His tall figure buried me into the sofa, his hands raised above, and soon my legs lost their freedom too. I was speechless. He paused for a second, then quickly took off his clothes and pants were all over the ground. Then he swiftly flipped me over. "Fine, let you be on top, Cherry." Afterward, Justin started to explain, "You wanted to bully me, right? Well, I let you." My face got hot. "Shut up. What are you even talking about?" Justin's eyes contained an apology. "You're so different now from before, I just can't control myself. Sorry, I wish I still had money like before." He wanted to say more. I grabbed a throw pillow and tossed it at him. Finally, it was quiet. After eating, I started tidying up the room. It's a one-bedroom apartment, with only one bed. I could sleep in the living room. Justin quickly made his position clear. I call the shots. Justin turned to me, hinting with expectancy, so where will I sleep? The living room? All right. Late at night, after hearing multiple loud thuds of heavy objects falling in the living room, I realized that the former big shot might not be accustomed to sleeping on the couch with my consent. Justin hopped into bed. He snuggled up to me and said softly, "Cherry, like this, we seem like a married couple." My heart skipped a beat, then I said, "Don't dream, we're not even a couple. I'm your creditor." After speaking, I turned around, biting the blanket while silently shedding tears. Money was gone, now I'm also bankrupt. Though already broke, I still didn't trust Justin to go out. So, I let him stay at home and study ways to make money whenever he had time. As for me, I went out to work, keeping it a secret from him. Thinking back to when I became a mistress right after college, with no work experience. I searched online, what kind of jobs are suitable for college students without work experience? The answer, if you're physically fit, you can do delivery, drive, or be a courier. If you're older, you can work as a security guard, cleaner, or nanny. If you don't know anything, you can be a laborer, customer service rep, or salesperson. I quietly closed my phone. Is this how things have turned out now? I opened a job search app, and found a suitable housemaid job. I clicked on it and saw the work address, Vietnam. Well, even though I had no experience, I wasn't foolish. After a bit of a hassle, I found a housemaid job. Every day, when the couple left for work, would clean their house, wash and dry their clothes, cook lunch, and tidy up again in the afternoon. For this little amount of work, I earned $30,000 a month, quite a wealthy family. The agency showed me the information while confirming the time. This family is in a hurry, so you better go this afternoon. The agency explained as if it's nothing new, you know, workaholics like them. If a day goes by without someone attending to the house, things go haywire. I was a bit puzzled. I really didn't quite get it. Justin used to be a workaholic too, but his place never went haywire. Did you hear me? The agency urged me to get ready early for the afternoon job. I nodded quickly, got it. The workplace was quite far from home, so I just grabbed a meal on my way. At mealtime, Justin called, "Ran away?" What? I was biting into a burger, not catching his drift. "Can't support me, ran away?" Justin kindly added. I chuckled, my cheek sour from laughter, still with a big bite of hamburger in my mouth. Holding back the urge to tease him, I casually made up a reason for not going home. A friend just got dumped, I'm with her for a day, going shopping in the afternoon, then getting our nails done. He listened quietly on the other end of the line. When I finished speaking, he finally said, "Not having dinner with me today? We can have it at night, tell me what you want, I'll bring it for you." He fell silent. Musing to myself, I said, "I'm not so bad, even informing you of my schedule. I haven't just disappeared suddenly before, right?" This time Justin texted back promptly. I choked, recalling the past. Even though Justin was domineering and unquestionable, he never mysteriously disappeared. I wasn't really disappearing, just going out for a while. Can't I have this bit of freedom? We seem like a married couple. His words flashed in my mind. Without thinking, I blurted out, "We're not really married, your controlling tendencies are a bit too strong though." The intense sun outside blurred my vision. All I wanted to do was finish the burger quickly, then study what I needed to know as a housemaid. So much so that I didn't notice Justin had already hung up the phone. Without much thought, my top priority was earning money and taking care of the house. Only when I have the money can we eat and live well. The thought that Justin can only rely on me for food for the time being made me inexplicably happy. I arrived at the workplace 20 minutes early. $30,000 a month. I thought their place must be really messy, or have a lot of demand. Surprisingly, it was just a regular apartment, not dirty, a few men's shirts in the laundry basket that might or might not have been worn, a few bottles of mineral water in the fridge. I did a round of inspections and found a note on the dining table. I have already told the agency about the requirements, just complete them. I checked every room, and the trash cans weren't even half full. $3,000 a month, that's $1,000 a day. Feeling guilty, I returned to the bathroom and filled a bucket with water, then scrubbed all the smooth surfaces in the house twice. I took out the few clothes in the wardrobe, hung them out to dry and ironed them. Then, I wiped clean all the utensils in the kitchen, on the kitchen island, and in the living room bar cupboard. After confirming that there was no rubbish in the entire apartment, I took out the small bag of trash in my hand and left. After closing the door, I thought for a moment and then took a photo of the locked door to send to the homeowner. Cleaning done, door lock. They quickly replied, "Okay, thank you for your hard work. There's $200 under the doormat, go buy a bottle of water." I was startled and quickly replied, No, the salary you gave me is already high enough, I can't take your money to buy water. If you don't take it, the cleaning staff might find it soon, and in any case, that money won't come back to me. After hesitating for a moment, I replied, "Okay, thank you then." I happily bought dinner and hurried home. When I got back, I couldn't see Justin anywhere. The house was small, and I quickly spotted him sitting on the balcony looking out. I put down the packed dinner and called him over to eat. He was very cooperative, immediately standing up from the small sofa on the balcony with his overly long legs, making people envious. He walked over to the dining table, arranged the tableware neatly, and quietly started eating. In my mind, I sighed silently. He had never eaten this kind of ordinary food before. The whole evening went abnormally smoothly. He finished eating, washed the dishes, then turned on the computer to do some work. I, however, was exhausted from the day's work and went to bed early. In a half-awake state, I seemed to hear someone ask me, "Are you thinking of running away? Can't face it and run away? Too tired?" The voices dissipated like a dream. The next few days were the same. I worked diligently during the day, then went to bed early with a tired body. Justin, on the other hand, was busy all day on the computer because he couldn't go out. I really liked my job now. Every day I didn't see the employer but met their demands through a note or a message. How much I did depended on my own consideration. After a month, the $30,000 arrived right on time, and I was so excited I was about to jump up. In the second month, my motivation grew stronger, and Justin seemed to be doing a bit better on his end. His long-term furrowed brow had eased slightly in the past few days. But he still spoke very little. I could understand him. His emotions must have been affected after experiencing ups and downs. Today, the apartment was exceptionally clean. Even the shirts I changed daily were washed, dried, and hung up. I looked around, all the trash cans were empty, and the floor was spotless. I even felt like the only dirty thing in the whole house was me. Just as I was full of question marks, a man in home attire walked out of the bedroom. I was startled. He spoke first, "I am your employer, Steve." I immediately put on a smiling face. "Hello, sorry, I forgot to say hello to you today as I was taking a break." Steve smiled gently at me and asked, "How do you feel working for me? Tired? Reliant on my own initiative for this much work every day, am I allowed to say I'm tired? Your asking me makes me feel embarrassed. The job is good, and I haven't thanked you yet." Steve walked to the kitchen island, poured me a glass of water, and said, "Take a break today, no need to clean." Perhaps due to the atmosphere in his home, he seemed particularly friendly. I awkwardly took the glass of water he handed to me. "If there's no cleaning today, then I won't disturb your rest." Cherry. Suddenly, the man's tone changed, as if he was very familiar with me. "Don't you remember me?" I was stunned. During my school days, I was either in class or working and had no energy to pay attention to my classmates. I had lost touch with my old classmates as I spent the past few years with Justin, and I didn't bother to maintain any contact. So I couldn't remember this person at all. After thinking for a while, I really couldn't recall who this person was. Forget it. You never cared about classmates back in the days. It's been several years, it's normal not to remember. And you, the most crucial question I asked was, did you know it was me before hiring me? I sensed something but couldn't make it clear. Did you recognize me from the information at the agency and that's why you wanted me to come? So, the salary that is so much higher than the market price, is that a special offer from you to me? Because of this, you want to give up this job and resign? Nah, I won't. After all, I need the money right now. But exploiting others, it's clear I'm taking advantage of this job. Sensing my concerns, Steve tactfully gave me a way out. If you feel guilty, how about doing me a favor? What? Tomorrow afternoon, I have to see someone at home, and they want to talk to me about something. Can you stay and help take care of things? Just tidy up a bit after they leave. Is it some big deal? Are you under pressure? No, not pressured, I quickly explained. What you mentioned falls within my job scope. There's no question of helping or not helping. Steve elegantly took a sip of water and said, then thank you in advance. The next day, to justify that $30,000, I left early to prepare. Steve didn't leave. He was reclining on the sofa with his eyes closed, so I started cleaning immediately. I felt his gaze subtly and deliberately focused on me, as if scrutinizing. I felt uncomfortable, but work had to be done. In a short while, the doorbell rang, and Steve flicked his finger, indicating for me to open the door. I nodded and hurried over to open it. I didn't want to look at the employer's guests for too long. But in that moment, my scalp felt like it was about to explode, time seemed to freeze, and our gazes locked and couldn't be withdrawn. Cherry? The tall man said just 2 words, and I almost kneeled down. Justin, come in. Steve stood behind me, and with a posture as if we were taking wedding photos, he said, come on in, we've been waiting for you for a long time. I asked, puzzled by Steve's choice of words. Who was this we he was talking about? I was about to come up with excuses for not being home every day and not coming back for lunch, but before I could explain, Justin walked in next to Steve, brushing against my body. He didn't say a word to me. But the look of surprise and realization in his eyes made me anxious. His aloof back also made me inexplicably flustered. Steve poured him a cup of coffee I made, then turned to me with an irresistible tone, saying, Cherry, the coffee is getting cold. Keep brewing. It's just my job, right? But why couldn't I move my feet at that moment? Steve's gaze suddenly felt strange to me. His calm and amused eyes that seemed to be waiting for the drama to unfold looked like the real him. This is my housekeeper, usually she just cleans up a bit, but today I specifically asked her to stay and take care of things, Steve kindly explained to Justin, who was giving me more questioning looks. Furrowing his brows at the explanation, Justin glanced at me and then back away. In that moment when he averted his gaze, I seemed to see the old him again, decisive and indifferent. I finally figured it out. They must have known each other before, and Steve had once suffered a loss under Justin's hands. Now, their roles had switched. The one in need was Justin. He deliberately arranged for Justin to come here, even hiring me to work was intentional. It was all for the purpose of humiliating Justin. He didn't mean to talk to Justin about anything or extend a helping hand. He just wanted to use me to get his revenge. To make the person who once treated him like a worm feel what it's like to see someone around them become a maid, while they remained clueless and went up to suck up to others. I glared at Steve with disgust, but he just raised an indifferent eyebrow. Justin, is there anything you need today? He asked knowingly. I dared not speak, afraid of disrupting Justin's plan. Nothing. Justin calmly got up, drank the coffee in his cup, complimented the brewing, then slammed the cup hard on the ground. He raised his fist and began hitting Steve, who was defenseless. He relentlessly beat Steve until he couldn't speak, and only then did Justin stop. He turned around, took my hand, and led me away. Let's go quickly, he said. Steve might have people nearby waiting to catch us. In times like these, he can still joke. After all, I could be worth something now. I followed his steps closely, changing cars a few times before finally feeling at ease. My mind was still filled with the look in Justin's eyes when he first saw me. Unable to hold back, I asked, what were you thinking when you saw me opening the door just now? Exactly, he said curtly. What do you mean, exactly? He turned to me, so, did you decide to run off with a rich person or follow someone who's not good for me? Seems like you don't really care about me, didn't? My explanation came out almost involuntarily, and even I couldn't believe it myself. You declared bankruptcy, all my savings went to fill the gaps, so I took this job, with good income, hoping to help you a bit. I didn't expect him. I understand. Justin curved his lips and said, I understand now. He used you on purpose to provoke me. Because he once wanted to join my company, failed, then went to another company, and wanted to target me badly, but failed again. I only heard about his 2 failures later. He never even appeared in my workspace. And now he went through this whole ordeal just to humiliate you and failed again. No, Justin suddenly lowered his tone. This time he succeeded. Justin's hand on the back of mine moved slightly but didn't tighten. I didn't expect you to actually use all your savings to fill those gaps, he said, his thoughts unclear, and when getting off the car, he inconspicuously added, I'll double it for you in the future. After that day, it seemed like my relationship with Justin had suddenly improved. He continued to indulge in our game of seizing power, cooperating with my sudden antics. I stopped looking for other jobs outside, and instead met and communicated with our previous partners together. He remained bold and decisive. The road to making a comeback was too difficult, but he didn't say a word. Just when I thought we were going to continue like this, he suddenly ended up in the hospital. When I received the call from the hospital, I was preparing dinner for him. Cherry, come to the hospital quickly, Justin is covered in blood and is about to go into shock. My vision darkened for a moment, then I turned off all the gas and electricity, rushing to the hospital. On the way, one of Justin's former subordinates told me that he had been pressured to get an investment. The other person threw a card with $2 million into a pit full of broken glass, making Justin jump in to get it for the investment. I shuddered at the thought of a pit full of broken glass. How many wounds must he have? How much pain he must have endured. Was he willing to risk his life? I felt so uneasy, as if the person covered in wounds was me. The subordinate choked up. Justin was anxious. The surgery lasted until midnight, and the doctor's voice trembled. There was only one fatal wound, which has been sewn up, but there are too many small wounds from the shattered glass. He had lost too much blood when he arrived, and needs a good rest. I followed into the ward and began the days and nights of vigilant watching. Justin woke up early. As the anesthesia wore off, he became conscious. Glancing around, he realized he was in the hospital. He sighed in relief, then tensed up again. Cherry, tidy up and get ready to leave later. He rarely used such a commanding tone to give me instructions. I frowned. You just had surgery. Before I could even blame him for using his life as a bet without permission, he started giving me more reasons to be angry. We must go back, he said firmly. Then his tone softened. Being in the hospital is like exposing our whereabouts. If we stay here, someone will come looking soon. I could understand, but how could he be so reckless and leave the hospital in his current condition? I was torn almost to the point of tears. His subordinate understood Justin's intention as soon as he entered, then went to handle the discharge procedures. Justin stared at me, his eyes and tone leaving no room for doubt. You go home first and prepare the medications I need. My wound will probably require regular dressing changes, right? What else is missing that you need to buy now? I couldn't refuse, so I went to take care of it. I rushed around the hospital, the bustling hospital echoing with voices, but my mind felt like it had a map guiding me. Find the doctor, get the medication, pay the bill. After leaving the hospital, I immediately took a taxi home. I arrived before Justin. I quickly sorted and prepared the medications as he instructed, anticipating his arrival. But I waited for a long time, the half-hour journey turning into 2 hours with still no sign of him. Unprecedented panic overcame me. I packed up and prepared to return to the hospital. Just as I was about to leave, I caught sight of the apron hung conspicuously. The apron, the locator. The locator was still in Justin's tooth. I turned back to open the computer and check his location. What I saw chilled me to the core. His location was at sea, moving continuously in the direction of the open sea. His subordinate then called me. Cherry, Justin is in danger. His last words to me were to notify you, saying you could find him. He's at sea, moving south. Those people must be planning to dump him in the open sea. I couldn't continue. Cherry, come downstairs now, I'm on my way. I followed him and quickly boarded the boat heading out to sea. The boat sped away, and I couldn't stop vomiting, holding the computer to provide his location. As dusk approached, we saw the boat helping Justin. But as we chased after them with all our might, the other boat stopped. Soon, an identical boat appeared behind us. We fell into their trap. People on the other boat shouted at us, "Do you think you can safely return after coming to the open sea?" The subordinate's face turned pale, but I focused on Justin tied to the railing, still bleeding. Looking closely, the ropes binding him were connected to a large rock. Just one push and Justin wouldn't resurface. The thought made me vomit even more intensely. Overwhelmed, I and the subordinate were quickly taken aboard the other boat. I was thrown down like a dog next to Justin. "Ivy caused you trouble," Justin said. I had never experienced such a scene, my heart filled with fear. Fear of the ocean, fear of the imminent death in the sea. The kidnapper laughed heartily. "Justin, aren't you tough? How does it feel? Those close to you never end up well. You want to make a comeback? Those people are planning to dump him into the open sea." He spoke in a flash. Justin quietly grasped my hand from behind. He had slyly undone the rope on his hands. At the moment the man was about to push me into the sea, Justin leaped up and looped the untied rope around the man's neck. The subordinate swiftly pushed the end of the rope, and with a scream, the man who had just intended harm to me fell into the sea. "Don't be afraid, he won't die," Justin reassured me immediately. "The knot isn't tight, once in the water, it'll loosen, he'll come up soon. Let's go quickly." The other two accomplices, stunned by what happened, rushed towards us. Justin and the subordinate each sent one of them into the sea swiftly. We boarded another boat and sped away. Figures of the three men climbed onto the boat from the sea. But soon, the sound of sirens approached from the direction we were heading. They didn't dare to chase us anymore, no matter how bold they were. The subordinate explained, panting. I immediately called the police when I arrived. "Well done," Justin weakly leaned against me, closing his eyes and speaking his last words before falling silent. "You seem to care a lot about me like that," Justin said suddenly. My heart continued to race. "Of course, Justin, do you know how scared you made me? I didn't even have time to be mad at you for using your life as a bet to make money and then almost lost you. Don't you want freedom?" Justin asked again. "If you want freedom, do you not want me? How can you be so silly? It's like we're a married couple." Upon returning, Justin reluctantly spent a few days recuperating under my coaxing and lure. Then he started working non-stop. He secured investments, and those who had been against him ended up in jail. It seemed like everything was going smoothly for him. I told him not to be in such a hurry, that money can't solve everything. He said, "I can't help it, I don't want to be a kept man anymore. I want to be a sugar daddy." Later, his life took a turn for the better once again. He used the newly earned money to buy countless properties, bags, and splurged on me. I laughed. "Are you proposing like this? Then let's get engaged." Justin continued to transfer money to my account. "Do you want to be a mistress again, or do you want to marry me?" I furrowed my brows and climbed onto his body. "I want to seize and conquer you." "Okay." He simply tossed all his cards to me. "How can you have no money? It's all yours." He then pulled me down, snatched off my bra and covered my eyes. "Come on, dominate me fiercely." I glanced at the newly unwrapped leather outfit not far away, feeling uplifted unaware. Someone was urging, "Cherry, aren't you ready yet? Please hurry, I have a marriage registration appointment in the afternoon." "I'm coming." I pounced, determined not to give you a chance.